It's great to have you here. You look very like Tom Hanks, but you've got the hair all wrong and the moustache is ridiculous.
Yeah,
someone
asked me if I had stopped dyeing my hair for a role. I said, no, this is it. I'm currently working, so I'm playing a guy with very white hair and a white mustache. Yeah, Sully Sullenberger, the pilot who landed the plane in the Hudson a few years, called The Miracle on the Hudson.
So another kind of hero from an ordinary background kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I don't know how this happened. I mean, I would never cast myself as these people, but I seem to have gotten the job.
So Bridge of Spies, we're back in the 1950s. It's a Spielberg spectacular. Brooklyn 1956 looks like Brooklyn 1956. East Berlin looks like East Berlin.
Yes, indeed.
And this is it's another kind of morally uplifting story. Your character, Donovan, is basically the good American.
The East and West duked it out and decided to walk away with just enough in order to... They got what they wanted, and then they stopped. And in fact, everything that is in the film happened. Donovan, who wrote prosaically about his career, has a very fabulous book in which he explains the 6 days that he was in Berlin, and it's extraordinarily accurate.
Extraordinary story, but it's also one of the extraordinary things about this film to me, being roughly of that generation, just able to remember. We had Protect and Survive. I think you had Duck and Cover.
Duck and Cover.
Duck and Cover. All those public information films about what to do when the bomb drops. Do you remember that yourself?
I remember it very well, and I remember very specifically the idea that it was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when. World War III was going to happen in our lifetimes. It was part of the popular culture. It was on Star Trek and in comic books and in novels like and in movies like Dr. Strangelove. And the flashpoint was going to be at a place like Berlin or Angola or in Vietnam or in the Koreas. It was just a matter of time.
And we're living through a time when, once again, thanks to Vladimir Putin, Russia is the enemy and doing all sorts of aggressive things and so forth. Was that just serendipity, or do you think Spielberg...
No, we planned on it. We made the movie hoping against hope that our marketing team would be able to come up with a good Crimea emergency that was going on. I think we have the comfort of hindsight because it was a little bit more well delineated back then. Russia is not the same sort of country that it was in 1951, you know, with a communist bloc that was falling apart. And then I think actually the world is much more complicated now, and also the sense of what surveillance is and spying is much more complicated now. We didn't get a feeling back then that either side was willing to cut off the heads of the other people in order to prove their point, and we're dealing now with people who are willing to do that.
Try to do the right thing, and to that extent you're the kind of Jimmy Stewart for my generation.
All right, I'll take that. That's not bad.
But of course your politics are a bit different because he was a keen Republican, Jimmy.
Was he? I had no idea.
Absolutely. Reagan and Nixon were his thing. Right. And you're somewhat the other side, I think it's fair to say. You've been a big backer of Hillary Clinton. Now,
okay, all right, yes, I voted for her, yes, okay.
And you've given her money and all the rest of it.
I have contributed, yes, a few $1,000s.
So why? Because it's a dangerous world out there. Is she the woman who's got what it takes to lead America through this very, very perilous period?
I don't find anybody more impressive or more trustworthy than her. And if somebody comes along, I'll be happy to listen to their arguments. But for right now, anyway, I mean, there's no big contest that's going on. It's kind of, hey, look, I root for Aston Villa. You know, at the end of the day, I hope Aston Villa makes it to the FA Cup. If they do, great. If not, I'll still be rooting for Aston Villa.
Nonetheless, you are the single most successful movie star in the world at the moment.
I don't think that's the case. But
$4.5 billion you've grossed.
Well, that's in. You know, I have not grossed. There's some pretty good movies that I've been in. I'm just a guy that has been cast in them.
Are you in any way tempted by public office yourself?
Oh dear, no, no.
Never.
No, no. I'm an actor and a storyteller. You know, I think the guys that are in show business that might go into that, because this is a story that politics is show business for ugly people. I think it should also politics is show business for people who are unemployed. I'm still getting jobs at what I'm doing right now. I have nothing to offer.
It's very often an uplift at the ending.
All right,
and they're also very often moral films. I mean, the character makes big moral choices and does the right thing and tries to do the right thing.
There's a lot of very depressing stories out there that you can watch like crazy. There's a wide panoply of stuff in order to choose from, but I only have so much time in this world, and I want to be invested in the stories that I'm not only that I'm making, but also the ones that I'm going off and seeing as well. And I want there to be some version of a truth that I recognize, and I want there to be some version of an enlightenment that actually reaches me on an organic in an organic matter. And you know, Bridge of Spies, not to bring it back to the movie I'm currently hawking, you know, that is the type of stuff that ends up fascinating me. And whether it's uplifting or upbeat is not nearly as important to me as whether or not it rings true or not. And when it rings true, well, then I think that's the high country, and you've done something that's pretty hard to do.
Tom Hanks, what a nice man.